send you head over heels, upside down, 6 breathtaking times. But I wouldn't keep him waiting if I were you. Feel the grip of Vortex before it's too late.
Well, in about a month, it's going to be too late to get on Vortex, a 148-foot tall 6-inversion aero coaster that debuted in April of 1987. This ride had mixed reactions in recent years, given its awkward transitions and its rough ride, and over time ridership suffered. On September 27, 2019, Kings Island announced that its 33rd season would be its last, and it would close at the end of October. This is happening at the same time as their B&M Gigacoaster, Orion, just had its lift hill go vertical. Orion's arrival in 2020 means that it will be at least 2, probably 3 years before a new coaster is put in Vortex's place. And what a place it is! Vortex has one of the most picturesque plots of land of any coaster out there, so whatever it is, it better be good. Today, I'll be looking at the top 5 contenders for what could replace Vortex. So first, let's look at the plot of land that Vortex sits on, a massive square 518 feet by 432 feet. A lot of parks have issues with space when replacing a ride, but that is not an issue here. This spot is big enough for most models with the exception of the long, drawn-out Hypers or Gigas, which the park already has. If needed, there is quite a bit of undeveloped land to the south of Vortex's lift hill, between Racer's Turnaround and the Beast's first lift hill. But for this video's purpose, I'll just be looking at the land that Vortex sits on. So let's kick off this countdown. Number 5. A B&M dive coaster. This is the least likely of the 5 options because Valravn and Yukon Striker are in the same region, and B&M dive coasters are all essentially the same, so it would seem a little redundant. Taking Cedar Point and Canada's Wonderland out of the picture, I think a dive coaster is a good fit for the park. Yukon Striker's drawn-out layout wouldn't be ideal for this plot of land, measuring 841 feet on one side, and Valravn is also stretched out on one side, measuring 629 feet. But a more compact layout like Griffin, maxing out at 540 feet, fits in this plot very well. If Cedar Fair wanted to put a dive coaster on this spot and give it extra elements, these elements would have to overlap each other. Number 4. A Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. There aren't too many of these out there. The closest one is Monster at Adventureland in Iowa, and the only one in the Cedar Fair chain is Hang Time at Knott's Berry Farm. Monster sits on a slightly larger plot of land, but both would easily fit in Vortex's spot with plenty of room left over. This achieves the vertical drop element like a B&M dive coaster, but offers something a little different from Cedar Point in Canada's Wonderland. Number 3. An RMC TRex. And I'm only saying TRex because I think this coaster will come in 2022 or 2023, and by then, RMC may finally be selling these. Kings Island is one of Cedar Fair's favorite parks, so I think this is definitely a contender to receive one of these first models. I could also see a higher capacity Raptor like Jersey Devil, but for a park that pulls in almost as many people a year as Cedar Point, I'm thinking they'll try to maximize capacity with a larger 2-across seating model. This can be the tall, intense, inverting, ejector-filled ride that their current B&M Hyper and Giga doesn't offer. Diamondback and Orion are graceful speed and floor airtime machines. A TRex would appeal more to the extreme thrill seekers. The current Raptors take up a tiny portion of Vortex's plot of land, so a TRex with a compact layout seems like it would definitely fit here. Number 2. A B&M Wing Coaster. The Midwest United States seems to be the hot spot for B&M wing coasters, since all 4 are in the same region, including Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. Well, this would throw another one right in the middle of that mix, and it would be a great fit for the park. Banshee is their only B&M looper, and wing coasters are different enough from inverts, so that works. X-Flight at Six Flags Great America sits on a rectangular plot of land, so it's a good coaster to look at for size, and it easily fits in Vortex's spot. Plus, wing coasters are incredibly photogenic and majestic, which would fit this picturesque area of the park perfectly. Number 1. A Mach Multi-Launch Coaster. So even before we learned that Vortex was going away, a Mach Multi-Launch seemed to be the popular pick for Kings Island's next coaster. Now that we know that Cedar Fair is working with Mach rides after the success with Carowind's Copperhead Strike, I also think this is the most likely candidate for Kings Island. They have 2 other launch coasters, the enclosed looper Flight of Fear and the family-style backlot stunt coaster. so a good multi-launch coaster with several inversions would be unique to the park and a really good fit. Copperhead Strike has a long, narrow layout that would extend beyond the Vortex plot, but obviously this would be a custom layout that could be contoured to fit in the square plot available. Again, I don't expect this to happen until 2023, maybe 2022 at the absolute earliest. Kings Island has been on a consistent 3-year coaster plan, starting with Banshee in 2014, Mystic Timbers in 2017, and Orion in 2020. Vortex must have had some serious maintenance issues, or it was losing the park too much money for them to close it right now, just 1 year after removing Firehawk and right before opening their new Giga Coaster. Vortex sits on prime real estate at Kings Island, and it's going to be weird to have this spot empty for the next couple years. I'm sure that ideally, they would have liked to remove this right before they were ready to replace it, like they did with Firehawk and Orion. Personally, I liked Vortex. It didn't quite make my list of top 10 arrows because it was pretty rough, but it had a great first drop, an interesting layout, and an awesome color scheme. This was also possibly the best coaster built in my birth year of 1987, so it's kind of offensive that it's considered too old to continue, but here we are. Anyway, let me know what you think about these 5 replacement options and which one you think is most likely, or if you think the replacement wasn't mentioned here or won't be a coaster at all. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
I will remember you.
Hello there, the angel from my nightmare.